Well, Bennett Kessler filed this report after months of untold staff time, trips to Sacramento, and a formal agreement. Inyo County learned last Wednesday that BrightSource Energy suspended its permit application for the Hidden Hills solar energy project in Death Valley. Now, Inyo officials had haggled repeatedly with BrightSource over how much the project would cost Inyo County. The county administrator, planning director, and other department heads devoted many hours to calculating costs and representing Inyo County at hearings before the California Energy Commission and their staff. Now, after final hearings went forward, BrightSource issued a statement that said on Wednesday, BrightSource, quote, informed the California Energy Commission that it is suspending its permit application for the Hidden Hills project, end quote. Now, the statement goes on to say that, quote, this week PG&E and BrightSource mutually agreed to terminate the power purchase agreements in connection with the Hidden Hills project due to challenges associated with the project's schedule and uncertainty around the timing of transmission upgrades, end quote. Now, BrightSource referred to the need for solar thermal power with storage. They said Hidden Hills is a good site for that type of technology, but to change plans would require reopening of the evidentiary record to account for new impacts. Now, a similar turn of events happened in January when BrightSource and Southern California Edison mutually terminated a power purchase agreement for two projects near Blythe. Now, BrightSource had asked the Energy Commission to put those projects on hold. BrightSource officials now say they will focus on the Palin project in Riverside County, and this project was already permitted by the CEC. Now, when asked for the county's response to the sudden BrightSource news about Hidden Hills, Inyo County Administrator Kevin Caruncio said, quote, we received word that BrightSource suspended its permit application Wednesday and were shocked. The project seemed to have a lot of momentum within the CEC process, but it sounds like there were greater issues at play, end quote. Now, Caruncio confirmed that the agreement signed by Inyo and BrightSource runs with the project, and so it is suspended as long as the application is, but, quote, remains in place if the project is resumed, end quote. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this story, legalized at last. Those who want to make food in their home kitchens and sell it. That's what the new Cottage Food Act did for Californians this year. But now some interested in home food sales face the possibility of being taxed like a business. Now, Inyo Assessor Tom Lanshaw said, quote, my job is to discover all business personal property that is taxable, end quote. Now, that news raised the question of the Southern Inyo Hospital parcel tax, at least $500 per year, plus Inyo County business property tax. Suddenly, the prospect of home food sales did not look so good to some. Now, Mark Stambler, cottage food activist, said of the possible taxation, quote, I think that goes against the interest of the Cottage Food Act. It was envisioned as a way to lower the barriers to the food industry, end quote. Stambler said the idea was to, quote, keep all permit fees and assessments at the lowest possible level so anyone could use the act to enhance their economic standing, end quote. Now, in hard times, legislators reason that the Food Act would give a lot of people a way to supplement their income. Stambler said, quote, we never thought this would cost more than $100 to get involved, end quote. Now, Stambler, who is a well-known homebread baker in Los Angeles, said the whole idea was for people to get started on a small scale and then, once successful, start a commercial business. Now, Inyo County Assessor Lanshaw said he has until January 1st, 2014 to figure out what to do about taxes. He said he has not heard anything about ignoring the cottage food enterprises. Said Lanshaw, quote, if you're in business, you're in business, end quote. Now, declaring the home food people official businesses will also put them on the tax roll, and that's why Southern Inyo people might face the hospital tax. Lanshaw said his office does assess other home businesses like cosmetic sales. Now, Lanshaw did say it's up to Southern Inyo Hospital what they do about taxing the cottage food industry. Some citizens interested in home food sales went to the hospital board and asked not to be taxed. Citizens say there were 100 people at Cottage Food Act workshops and many who want to get going, but taxes may prohibit them. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed these reports about the Mammoth Town Council. Should the town of Mammoth Lake spend up to $50,000 on a study about tourist rentals of single-family homes? The Mammoth Town Council voted unanimously to put off the issue until budget talks. Now, before that vote, a number of people offered their views. John Morris, head of the Mammoth Lakes Lodging Association, said he thinks factual evidence from a study would be a benefit and that any study should be done by, quote, an impartial third party with no stake in the community, end quote. Now, Morris names some of the concerns in this emotionally charged issue: possible price wars between homeowners and lodging, a drop in revenue, impacts on employees, numbers of homeowners that want to rent, and impacts in other resort towns. Said Morris, quote, we need to change emotion to factual data. Is it a net positive or not, end quote. Now, Morris said it's time to come together on this and put the issue to bed. He said, quote, there's too much neighbor against neighbor, end quote. Lizzie Lipman said she and her husband live next to Lodestar, and she described, quote, dude weekends with all-night parties, end quote. She said, quote, it takes a big toll on people who live in the area, end quote. Tom Grant said he could not envision having tourists next door with, quote, noise, trash, and no accountability, end quote. Steve Lavender said, quote, what do you want to accomplish? Infringing on my peace and quiet, end quote. Now, while some council members want the issue resolved, others pointed to the money the town doesn't have to spend. They deferred the issue to the fiscal year 2013-2014 budget talks. And before they headed into their official agenda last Wednesday night, the Mammoth Town Council heard from 5 people during public comment. Now, Jessica Morris, a town planner, told the council that she and others have carried out a series of meetings on the project to redesign Main Street. She said staff, consultants, business owners, and stakeholders have met. Morris said Caltrans is very receptive to ideas, and she said consultants will do a draft implementation plan. Martin Kleinbard said he had attended some of the Main Street meetings. He said he was baffled that the consultants were, quote, unaware of key issues, end quote. Kleinbard called the process, quote, a big adult game of pretend, end quote. He said we in the public need to know the impacts of plans before we give an opinion. Tourism Director John Erdy said the group working on a business improvement district will have a resolution of intent for the council May 1st. Collection of fees would start August 1st. He said, quote, we have a direction where we want to be, end quote. Now, Erdy said there will be public meetings on this new assessment after May 1st. Terry Stellick made the council aware of problems with buses parked on Canyon Boulevard that blocked the view of the crosswalk over to the bus stop. Public Works Director Ray Jarvis said the town is looking at restructuring Canyon and will address that issue. Jarvis added that he knows about problems with pedestrian beacons on Main Street, and he said that is the town's responsibility and that it is a wiring problem. Jarvis said he will have crews deal with that and a traffic signal problem at Old Mammoth and Meridian. Also, Johnny Gates told the council that there will be a Mammoth Town Cleanup Day, and that is scheduled for May 18th. We'll have more from the Mammoth Town Council meeting on Wednesday's newscast, and we'll be back with more news.